Mary Lou Fennell was born on December 8, 1918, in the midst of a historic time in America's history. In a few days, President Woodrow Wilson would travel to France to take part in peace negotiations that would end World War I. It had been exactly 53 years since the Civil War ended and Congress adopted the 13th Amendment to the Constitution outlawing the practice of slavery. Still, life in the rural South was challenging. Born at home near Harrods, North Carolina, Mary Lou was the child of Marshall and Ethel Fennell and had 7 brothers and sisters. The Fennells were a family of sharecroppers, and Mary Lou was raised in a loving Christian home. Mom, I got my friends with me.
Oh, something smells good. Something's a cooking.
Lord, I'm doing good.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, he ain't faming me as
Yeah.
Oh,
In 1929, the Great Depression devastated the United States, particularly those in the southern states. Crop prices plummeted, and it became increasingly difficult to earn a living wage. Every pair of hands were needed in order to support the family, and many children were unable to finish school, having instead to go out into the fields to work. The state of North Carolina had become a leader in pork and poultry production. However, the cash crops were cotton and tobacco. Most people lived off the land, finding work as sharecroppers and tenement farmers. By the grace of God, the Fennell family survived by working the fields. The children learned to chop and glean at an early age.
Mary Lou Henry. Everybody called my mama Henry.
Mama
The people at the church called my mama Henry.
How'd you get that name? Do you know?
All right, and instead of saying grandma, they all said Mama Henry. And Daddy Henry. Daddy Henry.
Tell me about your dad.
He farmed. That's where we farmed. And he'd go out and I wouldn't call logwood, cutting logs, sawmills and places like that.
Oh, okay. How about your mom? What kind of woman was she?
My mother was she was just the best mother in the world, I say. We picked our strawberries and blueberries, and my children would help other people in the summertime. They have crops, they cropping tobacco.
So how do you handle tobacco?
You never seen nobody with crop no tobacco.
Mm-mm.
Well, those days the men would crop it, and then they'd put it in a drag, something like a box with it. They didn't have no tractors there. They pull it with a mule, a mule, and they take it, get that box full, and they'd carry it to the table. And then you'd put it on the table, and the women would tie it.
I heard stories about how like the store owners let you shop on credit and that.
Well, sometimes we'd run out, run out of groceries. We could go get anything, groceries, like we need food. Well, we'd make our own food,
How?
Well, we raised chickens, eggs, and we'd have hogs, ham, sausage, liver pudding, and we canned a lot of food.
Was life in the South hard or?
Well, if you were lazy and don't know how to work, it'd be hard. But nobody was hungry. Everybody shared, If I had food, if I had neighbors that had no food, we'd cook food. We had to work together. No one to talk with, all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you.
for you, for you, for you.
Mary Lou was in the 10th grade when she met and fell in love with a young preacher and school bus driver, George Franklin Henry, from Curry, North Carolina. Their courtship reflected their marriage, full of laughter, fun, and adventure. They often took day trips to the beach and spent many evenings dancing the night away. Daddy Henry, as he was affectionately called, loved to tell jokes and spent a lot of time playing with his children. The family sat around the wood-burning pot-belly stove as he told comical stories that kept his children in stitches and spooky tales of his lifetime that scared the children into always coming home out of the woods before dark. At the age of 17 or 18, she married her 20-year-old preacher, and the following winter her first child, Bobby, was born.
Well, he was taking me home with him on the school bus. He was driving, country, when you get a driving license, you probably be like in the 12th grade, you get your driving license. And he was taking me home one day. And I was the last one got off the bus.
And so what did he say to you?
I don't know, could he come see me? I don't know what to say in those days. I forgot. But anyway, that's how it began. We got a man on a minister's home. A moderator, the moderator. In those days, you didn't have to, I don't think too many people had church wedding.
Oh.
Like to do it today. Mm-hmm.
And so how many children did y'all have after you got married?
Nine children. All of us good children. Had to be good, in those days. Wasn't too much trouble for them to get in.
Did the children make you proud?
Oh, yeah.
Once you rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham, and Lord, you rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul? Well, you rock my soul in the bosom of Abraham, you rock my soul in the.
With a growing family to feed, George took on work as a construction laborer and often traveled north where the jobs were more frequent and lucrative. Mary Lou tended to the children and the home and nurtured their 6 boys and 3 girls. Most of them were born at home in their parents' bed. But when they were big enough, they learned to work within the home and the fields in order to help the family make it through the harsh winters. Mary Lou and George instilled the value of hard work and discipline in each of their children. And with so many little feet in the home, there was always a task to do. The little girls stood on 5-gallon lard cans in the kitchen to help cook meals. Everyone was used to walking a mile or more to the store to buy groceries. They collected food from their grandparents' storehouse when the money was low. They slept 2 to 3 to a bed. Someone collected the water for the weekly baths and heated it by the potbelly stove. Others washed clothes by hand on the scrub board. Some boiled clothes in pots and gathered firewood to heat the laundry pot. And with no indoor plumbing, cleaning the outhouse was the worst job. Someone always had to dump the bucket. Clothes were made from flour sacks. Christmas gifts consisted of a shoebox full of nuts and fresh fruit. Bare feet received a pair of new shoes every Easter, and everyone learned to appreciate the value of hard work.
My Lord, she blows, wow, wow. Get on board. Better get your ticket now. My Lord, she blows, wow, 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 wow. Gospel train is coming.
As with many other blacks in the early 1900s, the Henrys embarked upon the Great Migration North in search of a better life for their family. Packing a car and their few precious possessions, the couple moved to Washington, D.C. in the 1950s, along with the younger children who had not yet moved out. The family moved from a small home in the country to a large row house in southeast Washington, D.C. George established New Birth Baptist Church on New York Avenue in Washington, winning souls to the Lord and making lifelong friends in the nation's capital. And even though they had a full house, there was always room for one more, as they hosted many family and friends who moved up north from the Carolinas. No one was turned away from the Henry home. Everyone just scooted over to allow the next house guest in. and the guests stayed with the Henrys until they could stand on their own feet, so to speak. George continued to work on construction jobs, and Mary Lou was able to go out and earn her own wages offering cleaning services. The humble couple from North Carolina even managed to travel the world. In the 1970s, Mary Lou traveled to the Caribbean with her daughters and daughters-in-law. And in the 1980s, George made a trip to Tanzania in East Africa to visit their daughter Vivian and her family. He talked about this trip for many years because of all the stories he came back with. George and Mary Lou, still in love with each other and longing the simple life in the country, moved back to North Carolina in the late 1970s. They joined First Baptist Charity Church, where George pastored the church until his sickness and sad passing in 1993. His children described him as a comical, sincere, caring, and firm man. He was truly admired by his children and their spouses.
Oh, I'm trials and tribulation. I've been beaten and I've been scorned. Soon my trials will be over. I want somewhere to lay my head. Oh, Lord. Lay my head. Lay my head. Oh, Lord. I want somewhere. Lay my head. Lay my head.
Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. You can call him up and tell him what you want.
We stopped by your church this morning. What's the name of your church?
First Baptist Charity.
Have you always gone there?
No, my home church is Keitha, North Carolina. But after I got married and we moved to Washington, D.C., he pastored the church in Washington, D.C. He pastored the church up there, and after he retired, they wanted him to come back to North Carolina.
I want somewhere, lay my head, lay my head, lay my head. I want somewhere, lay my head, lay my head, lay my head. When I get it, lay my head, shed tears, lay my head. When I'm done.
I feel better when I go to church. Church is a hospital for the sick people. Did you know that? If you're sick and you go to church, you'll feel better. That's why they don't believe it. That's true too. If you start sick and can't do nothing, and you go to church, you can feel better. I don't hurt none when I go to church. I don't know where them sick so white me. Did you see my pastor? He's a good preacher. Tyrone Thompson. See that?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He a good preacher.
Oh, good. The best. Him and my husband, the best preachers in the world. He know I love him. He know we all the mothers crazy about him. 11 years. He been there 11 years.
Well, you got a special seat you sit in?
No, I just sit on the front seat. Most everybody have a special seat, Where do you just sit there like to sit there? All the mothers sit together anyway. What I say? Oh, yeah. I've been saved when my first child was born. During that time.
Was going to church important to you and your family?
Oh, yeah. They had to go to church. You couldn't go down there. If you didn't go to church, you didn't go out there in the evening. You had to go to Sunday school. They had to walk, too. Before we went to Washington, D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
They walked down. Wasn't no concrete. It was dirt road.
From the union, the Lord blessed George and Mary Lou with 9 children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. Mary Lou, even in her 95th year of life, continues to inspire those around her.